with the two hosts of Let's Go Duffalo. First, the star of the show, Ryan Duffy. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited.
I am so excited to have you here because I've listened to the podcast and one Mr. Pat Duffy. Now you're sharing the spotlight.
Okay, first of all, you said star of the show and you didn't talk to me first, which bothers me.
We never talked to you first.
I know, you're right. But I'm saying, we're going to say star of the show. And for those who don't know, Ryan, my brother is Ryan here. That's how far down this show has gone. We're going to family members to get co-hosts at this point.
Is this what Thanksgiving's like? Like, because this is not starting off great. Okay?
I can't remember the last time I spent a Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no, he's right. Well, I go to Detroit a lot to go to watch the football game, which we're going to again this year to watch the Bills play the Lions. And he's not coming.
Nope.
I could just do the segment alone on leaving his brother to go to Detroit alone, but I won't.
I'm not his mom. What do you want from me?
Listen, never mind. Maybe it's because I'm an only child. Let's first start with very serious business before we get to Buffalo, because I'd love to get into the podcast discussion with you guys. Number one, Ryan, I want to just talk a bit about injuries that have been going on. Number one, Tua, and number two, J.J. Watt, which I am still trying to decipher how J.J. Watt got onto a field. Two, I think it's starting to come into focus a little bit.
Yeah, I think so obviously you hate to see it, and it's scary, and it puts the game that we love so much in a way different context.
Yes.
When you see someone lying down. Saw it with Dane Jackson on the Bills earlier this season too. Seeing it with Tua, it's an awful situation. I think that if anything, the bright side of this whole thing, if you could find one, is that it adds so much awareness to the casual fan of like, hey, this is serious business. These players are putting themselves in a position that it could be very detrimental to their health, and I think it helps the fans look at it from a different perspective.
I think it's interesting the fact that you meant the casual fan who comes in every once in a while is kind of like, oh, football. We know as fans, Duffy, these guys go out there to play that Sunday game.
Sure.
To their detriment.
Absolutely, but here's the thing, what Ryan brought up. The NFL doesn't want the casual fan to see what they saw. The NFL doesn't want the casual fan to know that every time they walk out on a field and for every play, they're putting their life in their hands. And look, that's a fact of playing football. These guys know that walking out. What's alarming, especially about the Tua Tagovailoa situation, is there are stopgaps because these guys are so competitive. And, I mean, Tua, for example, is fighting for a contract. If he picks up a concussion again and it gets out, that could affect how much money he makes. He has every reason to want to keep playing. How the heck Tua Tagovailoa ended that half in Buffalo and was able to play a game, forget the second half, 4 days later, right? Like, and here's what I can't wrap my head around, and I'm not a big city doctor as I play with my pretend suspenders. Tua Tagovailoa was diagnosed with a head injury in that game against Buffalo, and then it was
back.
Then it was changed to a back injury. So it was initially a head, changed to a back. The Dolphins the NFL fired the independent neurological, checkup person because of it. Here's the problem. The Dolphins still had him listed with a back injury all week long. So your doctors misdiagnosed him with a back injury that did not actually exist after, come on. You don't have to be a genius to see through what happened here. And with the J.J. Watt thing, how do you allow a guy who had AFib, had to have his heart shocked back into rhythm to take a field on Sunday? And it's become such a common occurrence for these health risks to happen. It was barely a story on that Sunday.
Well, you know what's crazy about this is that the discussion of all this health and safety, and you have the NFL and the Players Association coming together, the J.J. Watt thing kind of scares me so much more than the Tua Tagovailoa. The other end of this, too, is are we in a position now where we cannot allow anybody, as much as the NFL cares about their players, to come in and be influenced by any other team doctor or anybody else? It has to be someone totally unrelated to the NFL, a total different doctor altogether.
I think you have to. You have to have those independent people there to be the ones to make the call. Look at how many players from bygone eras are suffering long term from injuries there. Like you're going to repeat that same cycle of outcome if you don't have someone there to pull the curtain back and say, like, hey, these people can't play. Like, this player is too injured to play. This could severely hurt them long term later in life.
Just real quick, but here, that sounds great. You guys are being naive. That's impossible, because at the end of the day, the check comes from the NFL or the check comes from a Players Association, and you have so much pressure from the people standing around, including the players themselves. There is no one that can be truly unbiased being paid by a league that benefits from their stars being on the field.
All right, so then let's go to a solution, possibly expanding the rosters, having more quarterbacks